All right, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny.
Dylan?
Ooh, and this is an interesting one. We're actually going to talk about a couple different aspects, but this is the Alibaba delisting video. I'm sure if you've been following this channel for a while, you kind of know to be expecting this because it's been an interesting week for Alibaba shareholders, and it's been very much in the news. So we're going to dive and give our take on it.
Yep, absolutely terrifying. If you like this kind of entertaining stock market content, we're just two stupid guys trying to figure everything out. Give us a like and subscribe.
All right, we'll get to it.
Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks.
To set the scene for this, I got this nice YouTube video pulled up right here.
It's such a good scene. Just insert hold the Baba line.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's very funny. You know, people will, just kind of run with like a pack of herd, like as far as cats go, that sort of stuff. It's been really interesting time period as far as Alibaba shares. Now,
it's definitely Vinny holding the flag, and I'm the guy like, all right.
Yeah, like, all right, yeah, let's go. So major kind of news this week. This was a Bloomberg article talking about SEC moves a step closer to delisting Chinese companies in the U.S. This is in response to a Gary Gensler, who's the chairman of SEC, interview where they finally set their rules as far as what these Chinese companies have to do in terms of, or foreign companies have to do in terms of, adhering to the oversight accounting board rules and regulations in order to remain listed on a U.S. stock exchange. All right.
Right.
So Bloomberg article basically, saying like, it's a direct quote from Gary Gensler in this article right here. This is like the major point is that there are 50 jurisdictions that work with the PCAOB that allow the required inspections. 2 historically have not: China and Hong Kong. All right.
Yeah.
This comes out November 30th. Basically, the next day, you see, this is a headline. This is from the South China News. If you're not familiar with them, they're basically the publication of the Chinese CCP. People consider them like the mouthpiece. All right. So they actually have an interview with the Christopher Huai, who's the actual Secretary of Treasury for Hong Kong.
Okay.
And in direct contradiction to what Gary Gensler has said, he says, "We regret to see the U.S. SEC statement on December 2nd. Hong Kong is a jurisdiction that have not worked with the U.S. PCAOB, which is unfair and ungrounded." And he said, "We urge the SEC to correct this misleading statement."
That's very different opinions.
Yeah, I mean, they're equivalents on opposite side of the aisle, so to speak, here. So it's interesting how different their take is on this particular item.
And just so everyone knows, the PCAOB, that's the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Exactly. Essentially what that means is you have to make your books transparent to an over-governing body accounting, so we don't have a luck and coffee situation.
Exactly. So Alibaba is and has been audited by PricewaterhouseCoopers Hong Kong division for quite a long time. This PCAOB entity would then verify that PricewaterhouseCoopers Hong Kong division is operating under to PCAOB standards. That's basically what it comes down to. It's another check, another level of check. All right. Yeah. Now, I wanted to hit this article right here from Seeking Alpha. I feel like I'm punching down a little bit because like there was something in this article that really kind of got under my skin. But this is basically kind of stuff you're seeing. This is the Alibaba FUD, if you will. Talking about delisting, this Alibaba exodus.
FUD's back? I thought that was a cryptocurrency term.
What's that? A FUD?
FUD? No, I'm just kidding. You're good.
Nah, it can do everything. No margin of safety. So margin of safety is usually something you apply once you've done a discounted cash flow, which they don't do, and makes no sense to use that terminology to me, but whatever, they did. Talking about the fact that Didi has started the process of delisting and will be relisting in Hong Kong. Unlike Alibaba, who's been listed in both places, Didi was only available in U.S. markets, and now per request of the Chinese Communist Party, they are requesting delisting in the United States and will be relisting in Hong Kong.
I'm going to ask you a question about that later after you tear this article apart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, certainly, that news highlights some risk for Alibaba. I agree that it certainly is a um, something that makes you look cautious and the way you view this. Um, but the kind of headline here, as far as like things that got under my skin, was right here: a low PE ratio. Right, there's no room for error. Right, they say Alibaba has a forward PE ratio of 2. Yes, you read that correctly. No, you didn't read that correctly, because whoever wrote this article put that in there as like confirmation of whatever they're saying, but they're completely wrong. They confused PE and price to sales.
Oh, so they actually put in parentheses, yes, you read that correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, they doubled down.
Yeah. I mean, and
Okay.
directly below that there's the actual PE forward PE chart here. It's showing 13.4, clearly not 2.
So he literally says Alibaba has a PE of 2. Yes, you read that correctly. Look at my graph. It's 13.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
So,
they talk about the revenue back here, $370 billion market cap, 136 billion in revenue, 160 next year. That's roughly, you're talking about price to sales right now for Alibaba of about 2.4, 2.5, somewhere in that ballpark. Okay. I also love this shady VIE structure. Can you use more loaded language than shady VIE structure?
okay. I'm going to ask you a question about that later too.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. But it really kind of got under my skin. This, I appreciate that there are risks here. And I appreciate people that saying that, like, this is too risky for them. They want to stay away. That is completely fine and reasonable.
Yeah.
That's why I've limited my position size. But to have people on the opposite side of the trade that are like this, how do I put that, off base, in my opinion, makes me feel better about my own position.
Yeah, definitely reinforces your own train of thought there.
Yeah, exactly. And even there was a quote in here. Yeah, if you don't know you'll be able to trade Alibaba ADRs next year, or if you'll be forced to liquidate position in the market for exchanging ADRs disappears, meaning the price to PDE ratio is meaningless.
So basically what he's saying is no matter how attractive the financials, if they get delisted, it doesn't matter.
Yes, but this is someone that obviously doesn't understand what is involved in delisting. I think, in my opinion, that's kind of
the questions.
my point there. So, if the stock were to be delisted, honestly, it changes very little from an individual, shareholder's perspective. I would still own shares of Alibaba Holding Group, the Cayman Islands entity. Okay.
Okay.
Now that Cayman Island entity, I'd be able to trade those shares over the counter. That there are currently Alibaba shares that trade over the counter in the United States. I forget the ticker symbol. Someone asked about it actually previously. It's a 5-letter long, I think, ticker symbol. BABBF, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So you could still hold those. Alibaba could still be doing share repurchases or even dividends to those. It does not affect the Alibaba Holding Group's ability to reward shareholders with capital. Now, where it does affect you is that there may be some institutional investors that, because of their rules governing them, they are not allowed to own shares in over-the-counter traded stocks. Right. So right now, Alibaba has about 22% institutional investors. Amongst them, it's hard to really estimate how many of them are companies like, or hedge funds, which have no rules basically as far as what they want to own. You're certainly, they're not part of a major U.S. index, so it's not like indexed money per se. I mean, there'll be some from like a global exchange or foreign exchange kind of sort of stuff. But so you would definitely expect to see some portion of that institutional investor sell off. So you would see a downward pressure on the stock for a period of time, no doubt. But you would still own the stock, and Alibaba Group Holdings would still be the profitable, rapidly growing entity that it is as of now.
So I guess the question that people are going to be asking is, what is the risk of BABA being delisted compared to Didi? So is there any difference between Didi's situation and BABA? And also, by the way, before anyone says anything, it wasn't just BABA that was down. It was every Chinese stock was down. Like JD was down 9% or something.
Completely understood. Didi did things without the blessing of the Chinese Communist Party. Their IPO basically from the beginning was contentious, if you will. Immediately thereafter, the Chinese Communist Party banned Didi from acquiring new customers. Well, it did this security review because they basically had gone public in the U.S. without the consent of the Chinese Communist Party, and you can get away with stuff like that some places, but certainly not there. And Alibaba certainly has run aground as far as our muck, contradiction to the Chinese Communist Party, but overall, it appears that they have a working relationship.
Yes, and they also donated, as you saw in their earnings, like was it 15 billion, 30 billion yen to prosperity of China?
Yeah, it's equivalent to like 15 billion US.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but that's over 5 years, and that's a investment that includes a portion of it going to the General Prosperity Fund, which it's very funny. Like compared to US left-leaning political movements, this Chinese Communist Party kind of movements towards the left side, this General Prosperity seems tame compared to the take all of Elon Musk's fortune.
Yeah, I know, that's a whole different video. That's crazy.
Yeah,
let me ask you one more question.
Shoot.
When I buy a share of BABA, tell me the difference between the VIE
structure.
Yeah, and what we're actually doing.
Yes. So you're buying a part ownership of this VIE structure, which is a variable interest entity. The variable interest entity basically is a Cayman Islands corporation called Alibaba Holding Group, which has contracts with Alibaba Corporation, which allows them to basically have ownership of them. All their profits and revenue basically will flow through to this Alibaba Holding Group. The Alibaba Holding Group then is able to be purchase shares in multiple different locations, one of which is Hong Kong, and then one of which is US, and there's also, I want to say it's DAX in Germany. So it's listed in multiple locations. The American shares are American depository receipts, which represent, I want to say it's 8-1 of the Hong Kong listed kind of shares. Now those shares are held by Citigroup Corporation in trust, basically.
Okay. All right. So
some brokers will allow you to exchange them.
So it's not that, which you'll see online is they're actually saying you don't own any part of the company. It's not exactly accurate. It's sort of accurate, but not really.
I touched on it previously. Alibaba has done, I want to say, almost $3 billion in share buybacks last quarter. That right there is money that's flowing to shareholders. And frankly, if money can flow to shareholders, I consider myself an owner.
Completely agree.
Yeah, the question beyond semantics that, I can't walk. I'm a big Apple bull. I've never walked into an Apple store and said, "Hey, what's up? I own this place. Where's my discount?"
Yeah, I definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work, but you can try it.
That's right.
All right, guys, let us know. What do you think? This delisting risk, is it overblown, or is this like a real threat?
And more importantly, I want to see what everyone kind of thinks. So just comment delisted or not delisted. I want to know where everyone, like the people who kind of follow us and watch the videos, I want to know where you're sitting.
Exactly.
So, all right.
Catch
Have
you
a good
next
one, guys.